She's an enchantress, destiny's tree. Fear and doubt, she sets them free. Inner light guides the way, every night and every day.
Hello, welcome back to another mini masterclass. Before we get started, forewarning, they're replacing the roof on my house and there's landscapers about, so that you might hear some noise in the background. I'm sorry, but I needed to get this mini masterclass out to you. I've been talking about this for a while. So if you watched my other video, you're aware that I was talking about how we're a star and how plasma is the ether, it's consciousness, and plasma is what is in stars, and it is also what's in lightning and the northern lights. And the reason is because I want you to know that because we are consciousness, we are source, we are connected to the universe. And so we are always communicating with the other realms, whether you think you are or not. And we've always been told that, if you're hearing things, you must be going crazy. But we are so connected to the Akashic field that when we get these downloads, it is for our higher good. So before I get started with this, if you're new here, I journal every day and I receive messages from my guides. And the messages are what they would like me to discuss. So they've been taking me down the rabbit hole of physics so I could understand more about the universe and understand who we are. But not only that, they're wanting me to communicate that with you. So if you're here, it's not a coincidence. It's because you have some questions that, and you know this too, like you have this inner knowing. And so you just want confirmation. So at this point, I'm giving you confirmation that what you are feeling, what your gnosis is telling you is correct. So while I was channeling and I was getting information and I was going over what I was going to be talking about during this mini master class, I asked my guys if there was anything that they wanted me to share with you. So I'm going to share this now because I don't want to forget. Okay. And the only thing that they asked me to share with you is that there is going to be open contact. And they want you to know that there's nothing to fear, and they won't do it in a way that is going to be spontaneous and scare you. Also, they brought to my attention that there is something going on where there's going to be like a fake alien ships, but the premise behind it is because they want to create a war so that way we fear and we think that they're coming to hurt us, and so that way they can still manipulate us and control us. So they want you to be aware of that, so that way um, you aren't fearing this open contact. What they want you to know is they're benevolent beings, and they're just like you and I. So whether you believe it or not, because you are a star, you have a star family. And because we forgot where we came from, um, we forgot that we have a star family. And so they want you to know that there is nothing to fear. So only thing they ask of you at this moment is to focus on yourself, to clear anything that needs to be healed that's disempowering you. They would love for you to walk away from the fear of it, to understand that you are the universe and you are connected to the universe and you are consciousness, and that um, when you understand that, you know that you are bigger than just your physical body. And that is what they keep reiterating to me, because whenever we get into fear, then we give our power away. Okay, we're giving our energy away, and we're focusing on things that we should not be focusing on. Okay, so anyway, let's just get started with this mini masterclass. And if you're here, it's because you heard me talking about that you're a star and you have a starring role, and that starring role is your natal chart. So I'd like to give you a minute here to pause this video to make sure that you get your birth chart. You can get it. There's plenty of free sites online, but also make sure that you have it set for whole houses because it's going to be easier for you to understand what I'm about to go through so that you can figure out what your starring role is. Also, be sure to invite a friend while you're watching this. Do this with a friend because you're going to discover so much about yourself and your friend, and then you guys can communicate with one another to see how accurate this reading is going to be for you. So let's just get into it. So let's just start with your North Node. So your North Node is that North Star, right? It is what you came here to master. It's why you said you wanted to come into this physical plane. Your South Node is what you have mastered in a past life. And I've talked about this in other videos. But we're going to talk about nodal returns. And the reason being is because your nodal returns help you to benchmark if you are getting closer to your life path journey or if you are way off from your life path journey. So if you feel like you've had this inner knowing, right? You know that you're here for something more, but you just don't know what it is. And it is because your soul is on a journey and your north node is what explains your soul's journey. We're not here just to achieve, right? To achieve success and to accumulate material things. Those are only created so that we can measure our growth. Because whenever we are striving for something, that's when we experience the most growth. So if there was nothing that we were striving for, then we would just be waiting for life to happen to us. And so that is one of the reasons why we need to know this information. So a nodal return is when your lunar nodes go back to the place where they were when you were born. So that's what a return is. And nodal returns happen every 18 to 19 years. So when you think about it, at 18, 19 is when you're wanting to, create a little bit more independence for yourself. And then, it's like in your 30s is when you start looking at, getting married, having a family, and then in your later years is really when you should be focusing on success. But everything got kind of flipped around, and we're told that when we reach a certain age, that we have no value, right, from the patriarch. But it's so funny that in the patriarch, when you think of the political view, everyone there that goes into office are way well into their 50s, 60s, and 70s. Okay. So let that be a reminder that that is when your life begins. So if you're watching this and you're in your 50s and you think that your life is over, I'm just here to tell you that it's just begun. Okay. So your north node, excuse me, is an introspect on, major events in your life, and that those are the events that I just mentioned. But also eclipses. So when eclipses happen, it is because eclipses bring about new beginnings and they also bring about endings. So if you're not close to on your path, right? If you have forgotten your purpose or your life, your soul's journey, then this is the time that an eclipse will come in and affect you so that you can get back on course. Now, if you don't have any effects from an eclipse, then it's probably because you are so in tuned with your intuitive guidance that you have always been on course. Why that's so important is because when you understand that you always have this inner guidance of whether you're on course or you're not, then you won't wonder like, okay, there's an eclipse coming. Why isn't it affecting me? So, we have a habit of searching for something that's going to happen, right? Something that is going to create some disruptors in our life. And that's one of the reasons why my guides were telling me to discuss open contact. I'm just going to talk about it one more time and then I'm going to leave it alone because I just want to reiterate that open contact means you could even be experiencing it as I am right now. And don't get caught up in the media of it. Okay, that's what they want you to know. Open contact will come in smoothly. You'll get it. You'll understand it, and it's just going to be more. It's no more than that. It's just having an understanding that you are a part of the whole, and that we aren't these separate humans on this planet, and we don't have relationships with these beings that are in our galaxy. We are not separate. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there and continue on. So the reason why your north node and you have these eclipses, again, it's because this is your starring role. This is your soul's journey. This is why you came here. And so if you want to think of it like you're playing a video game, right? And so every time you reach another level, you're ready to experience other ways that you can evolve and expand yourself, and it doesn't happen as quick as a video game. And that is because the nodes, they happen every 18 to 19 years. So I want you to envision like a spider web, and when you're what we're getting ready to talk about. And in the center is the star, and the star is leading out to all of the areas in your life that you're here to evolve in. And that will give you this visual. And so, also, I want to talk about Saturn returns, because Saturn returns are another guiding post of, you know, what we are experiencing. And Saturn returns are the same. It's when Saturn is at the exact place it was when you were born. Now, Saturn returns are like a rite of passage into adulthood. And it doesn't matter what age, because it's like you're learning another level of responsibility. So, it's like every Saturn return, you have experienced more responsibility, because Saturn is a very stern energy. Saturn's like your father that's saying, okay, come on, let's move along here. Let's learn from this mistake, and I don't want to say mistake because there are no mistakes, but let's just learn from this lesson and let's use it to benefit you in the next Saturn return. And it's like a life reassessment is what you're experiencing in a Saturn return. Now, Saturn returns happen every 27 to 30 years. So, in and I want you to understand that Saturn returns are like your karmic lessons, and they push you to face reality and to and learn how to make tough choices. So we can't just pretend like we can just skip out and dip out on why we came here in our reality and just sit back and wait for things to happen, because it's part of our evolution. So in your 20s and 30s, it's like, like 27 to 30. It's when you are focusing on your career and your life direction, relationships, your identity, and your self worth. And then in your 50s and 60s, you are thinking about your life purpose and your legacy and your transition to wisdom, and also your health and well being. So, this is very important for you to get this, because I just turned 60, and there's such this stigma about aging. And really, this is the most potent time of your life. I mean, this is when you're really focusing on your life purpose and your soul's journey. This is when you are thinking about leaving a legacy behind. this doesn't have to be monetary. Let's just get this straight. This has to do with what are you leaving behind to help the next generation? That's what you want to think about. And then when you get to your 80s and 90s, it's more about reflection of your legacy, embracing eldership and acceptance and peace. Okay. So those are what Saturn returns. And then also remember that it depends on what house your Saturn return is and what zodiac sign is aligned with that house. So you will understand better what what the energy is behind it and what your lessons are. And I've mentioned this before. I have a video. I can put the link right here, but I talk about how I have Chiron and Saturn in my second house of self worth, and it's ruled by Pisces. And so it's really gotten me to where I am here on my spiritual path and understanding my self worth and understanding that I have value. And it might not make sense to everyone. I might show up here and be the weirdo, right? I'm talking about topics that seem way out there, but that's my Aquarius rising. My Aquarius rising is a visionary, and I see into the future. I am a seeker, I am a seer. And I'm owning it now. Before, I used to push that away, but now it's part of who I am. And I understand that I'm here to speak to the collective who resonates with me. It's not about me morphing into what people are expecting of me or what people want me to be. It is more about me stepping into my truth, my essence, why I'm here, how I see the world, why I see things the way that I see things, what is my philosophy in life. And if what I'm talking about, and with astrology, because Aquarius does rule astrology and the star, if what I'm talking about interests you, then you're on the same journey as I am. So there is no coincidences. So let's just talk about Chiron returns. I just mentioned how I have Chiron in my second house, but Chiron's, it's the same thing. It's when they show up at the same exact spot of where it's placed in your chart. Now you only have one Chiron return, and your Chiron returns are they're about deep healing and acceptance and your wisdom, right? And it's a midlife awakening because you get a Chiron return around the age of 49, 51. And so this is where you have this spiritual awakening. You have this midlife awakening. You know that you have a deeper purpose, and you're seeking fulfillment. And so one of the themes of a Chiron return is to let go of the past. It's about forgiveness. So forgiveness keeps us so stuck from moving into our soul's journey. And so that's why it's so important. And so let's just talk about another theme of a Chiron return, and that is to reconnect to your authentic self. So you might you're feeling that, and that's why you're here. You're wanting to find out what your starring role is because you want to reconnect to your authentic self. It's also about stepping into the role of the healer. So when you go through a Chiron return and you go through healing and forgiveness, and you transmute the pain, and then you reintegrate it back into your soul's purpose, then you're able to share with others who have the same wound. And because Chiron is, generational, so you only receive one return. There are many people that are having the same wound as you. And so that is where you come into the role as a healer, a guide, or a mentor. And so that's kind of where I am right now. And like I said before, in other videos that astrology was never on my radar. And so now that I am studying it, and then I see where I'm at on my soul's journey, and then I get confirmation through what I've learned through astrology, it's amazing. So you don't have to focus hard on it. It's like if you're willing to let go and release and live in your truth, it's like you're following your north node regardless. Okay, so I want to reiterate that because I don't want you to beat yourself up thinking that you're lost or you missed out. It's like, no, there's tricksters about and there's other ways of getting there. But then this video is to help you to understand a little bit more about your chart, so you are feeling like you are more aware of where you are in your soul's journey. And then another thing is to discover a new life purpose. So, like I talk about how I thought, because I was so passionate about interior design, I thought that was my life purpose. And then when I went through my Saturn return, my Chiron return, um, I realized that, and a nodal return, I realized that no, that isn't my purpose. I knew that there was something more. I had this inner knowing, but then also my guides told me it's time. So I've been going through this healing journey so I can learn more about astrology, us being a star, consciousness, what is consciousness, what we're here, how we're here to experience and explore and grow, and what are the things that have happened that have hijacked us to take us off of our soul's journey. And like I said, none of this was on my radar, and I just was open. I've been open for a very long time. And so your astrology signs, okay, so the zodiac signs that are in your chart are like archetypes. They all have different characteristics. And that's why it's so important to understand what zodiac sign is ruling what house, because there's a different characteristic for that house according to the zodiac sign. Now, your houses represent different areas of your life. And so I'm going to go through them quickly. I'm going to look at my notes here. So your first house is about your self identity and your self image. It is the house of I am. And your second house is the house of self worth. It's also the house of resources, which is the house of I have. And then the third house is the house of communication and learning. And so it's the house of I think. And the fourth house is the house of home and emotional foundation, which is the house of I feel. And your fifth house is the house of self expression and your creativity. So it's the house of I create. Your sixth house is the house of work and service and health. So it's the house of I serve. Your seventh house is the house of relationship and partnership. So it's the house of I relate. Your eighth house is the house of transformation and shared resources. So it's the house of I transform. Your ninth house is the house of philosophy and higher learning, and it is the house of I explore. And your 10th house is the house of career and public image. It's the house of I achieve. Your 11th house is the house of community and future and aspirations, and it's the house of I aspire. And the 12th house is the house of spirituality, subconscious mind, and it is the house of I release. Okay. So if you can kind of think of that, I'm going to put all of this information on my website as well. So and I'll put the link down below. So if you want to, you know, revisit everything I'm talking about, it'll be there. Or I'm going to put it up here in image so you can pause and you can do a screenshot of everything I'm talking about as well. So I also am going to put up the symbols of each of the placements. So you get familiar with the symbols of the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, so you can recognize them in your natal chart. Also, I'm going to go through quickly about what the symbols of the planets in a short form of what they mean. So the sun sign is I am, the moon is I feel, the Mercury is I speak, Venus is I love, Mars is I act, Jupiter is I expand, Saturn is I achieve, Uranus is I transform, and Neptune is I dream, uh, Pluto is I transform. Did I say Uranus is I transform? It's I change. Let me just, in case I missed that. So Uranus is I change, Neptune is I dream, and Pluto is I transform. Your north node is I master, and your south node is I mastered. Your Lilith is your shadow self, your dark feminine. Your Pala Athena is your strategy, and your Chiron is your wounded warrior. Your Vertex is about fated meetings. Your ascendant sign is how others perceive you. Your descendant sign is your companionship. Your MC, your midheaven, is your reputation. And your IC is your family roots. And I will also give you that little cheat sheet as well. So let's just talk about OpenAI, because this is all about how you're going to ask questions to input and get your starring role. So I happen to use OpenAI, which is Chat GBT, GPT. I always go fast and it sounds like it's B. Um, and it is a way that you can ask questions and get the answers. Now, before we move into this, I just want to let you know this is a basic reading. It does not replace having an astrologer read your chart, because astrologers know how to intuitively read your chart, as well as they can ask you personal questions and get to know like where you have had some struggles, and where your placements are trying to guide you. So just know that this is kind of a fun activity that I stumbled across, and it was very eye-opening, and it's going to give you a better understanding of your chart. And OpenAI is an artificial intelligence research organization, and also Chat GPT is an artificial intelligence chat bot that can understand and generate human-like text and dialogue. It is trained on a large amount of text data, such as articles, conversations, to learn the patterns and structure of language. Okay. So it's kind of like a human, not human, but artificially human response to all of the data that has been inputted into it, under like a kind of like a conversing um, dictionary, but that is more in depth. Okay. So Chat GPT can respond to questions. It can write content. It like articles, essays, social media, posts, email, code, and translate text. Okay. And so that's what we're doing here. We're translating text by inputting your natal chart information to get a clear understanding of what your soul's journey is, beginning with your north node. ChatGPT accuracy can vary according to how the questions are asked. And again, it's like this activity is a broader um, look at your natal chart. It doesn't replace the intuitive accuracy of an astrologer who reads your chart. So I want you to understand this. And for any of you astrologers out there, don't come at me for this exercise that I've created. I don't gatekeep. And because I'm in Aquarius rising, I understand that technology is here to support you if it is used in the right, correct way. And it is about how you ask Chat GPT questions. So you can even ask Chat GPT to be sort of like your life coach, right? And ask it, like, if this is my soul's journey, then how do I do X, Y, and Z? Now, this gives you an outline, but again, we're human, and our human emotions and our human nature are what create the resistance from us doing the activity. So again, this doesn't replace an actual human to be your life coach. It just gives you an understanding of what is expected of you to get closer to that goal. And your life coach and your business coach is kind of like your accountability partner that sees your wins and sees things that you can't see, sees your wins, your blocks, and also helps you quantum leap to start believing in yourself. So keep that in mind as we go through this exercise. Okay. So you have a copy of your chart, and we're going to go and figure out what is your soul's journey. So, what you're going to do is in your chart, you're going to find your North Node, okay? And you're going to use chat. You open up a free account with OpenAI. And then here is how you're going to input the first question. And that first question is, what does North Node degree, put in the degree, in the zodiac, put in your zodiac, in the house, mean according to my soul's journey? Also, can you explain the South Node in, put in your degree, put in the zodiac sign and the house that's in your chart, mean according to my past life? Now, when you put in the North Node information, it will talk about your South Node, but this is just so that you can prompt it to put in both, so you understand more about what your soul journey is according to your placement of your North Node, as well as your what you've already mastered in your South Node, because that helps you understand where you have an advance in this game, right? Because you've already mastered something. So these is like your tool belts so that you can win the next level. Now, another thing you want to keep in mind is you're beginning with your North Node and we're coming out like a spider web. So your North Node also might have, the placement of it might have a planet in there. So then you're going to want to ask the same question of, I'm going to give you like parts of fortune, right? So let's say uh, you have, first, let me back up here a little bit. So your North Node, you understand, you've put in, you've got your placements. Now, what I did, and you can switch this up, I don't want to make it confusing, but what I did was my North Node happens to be in Gemini. So Gemini is the natural ruler, if you want to call it a ruler, or its natural placement is in the third house. So I asked questions according to the next step, right? So it was like, okay, so it's a Gemini. If Gemini's the third house, so then I asked, how does, because I have parts of fortune in my third house, how does parts of fortune in blank degree in zodiac, and then I put in the zodiac and the house, affect the previous information? And that's key. You want to keep saying the previous information, because what you're trying to do is build your astrological profile. So you, like I said, you're looking at you're looking at it like it's a spider web. So it's everything is connected from your north node. So let's say that your north node is in the 29 degree of the 11th house of Taurus. So, and you also have Venus in the same house. Here's how you would write the question in Chat GPT. Um, and you would insert, so this is an example question. How does having Venus 23 degrees in the 11th house of Taurus, North Node, affect my soul's journey? Okay, so that is where you're including the planets that are in that house according to the zodiac sign and the degree. But you're going to want to look at your chart. This is just an example. And then let's say that your north node, because it's in the 11th house, just like I was explaining with my house being in Gemini, let's say your north node is in the 11th house of, of Taurus. You'll find where the second house is, because the second house is the natural placement for Taurus. And then if there's any other signs or whatever, you're going to put the house, the zodiac sign, the degree, and ask, how does this affect the previous information, or how does it affect my soul's journey? So you're going to continue doing that with every placement in your chart. And I'm giving you all of the symbols of all of the different asteroids, as well as your nodes and planets. So you can ask every single question according to your degree, your house, and the natural placement that is in your chart, in your natal chart. It's like you're connecting the dots of a spider web. Just remember that. And then once you get your astrological profile, so you'll have all of it, it's going to come in quickly, which that's where the magic comes in, because Chat GPT can answer these questions so quickly for you. Now, you're going to have reference from all of the things that I've given you so far about the houses and the planets, so that you can check and make sure that ChatGPT understands each house. And that's why I was so excited to share this with you, because I'm only one person. And yes, I can do intuitive readings, but if you can get the basic questions asked um, for free, and gives you a kind of an idea what your starring role is, this can be a lot of fun. And like I said, share this with a friend, because your friend knows you more than anybody else, or a family member. And so you can kind of play off. Now, one of the things is, I do recommend that when you get to the point where you're wanting GPT to create your avatar, you might want to put in your birth date. And why? Because Chat GPT will understand where you are in your natal chart. Like, you're not at your first Saturn return, you're in your second Saturn return according to your age. Or you might be in your first Saturn return, or you might be experiencing your first nodal return, because nodal returns happen every 18 to 19 years. So be sure that you put in your birth date. Now, so what I did was I created, and I'm going to create a blog with all of this information, so you can just copy and paste the question. But what I asked Chat GPT was to create my avatar. So you will ask Chat GPT, because in my book, I talk about my book, She's Magic, and how, playing a game for an enchanted life, is that you need to create your avatar, and using your astrological placements helps you create your avatar. Because once you understand yourself as a player in your game, then it's no different than playing a video game. So you know how you can succeed, you know how you think, and how you're going to strategize. One thing about Paula Athena, in your chart, you will find her, she is about strategy. So she'll show you how you strategize in your life. So what you'll ask Chat GPT is, um, let's see, where am I? Okay. So here's the question. It's a long question, so brace yourself. And you're going to put it all in one because you want it to create your profile in your avatar in one question, right? And have it just bring it out. So I wrote, and this is the questions I wrote were in connection with the houses, the 12 houses. So you will write, with the knowledge of my complete astrological profile and date of birth, put your date of birth, can you create a detailed avatar according to these areas of my life? So the questions you would write is, and I'm doing she and her. If you're not a she and her and you're doing this exercise, you input, your what you resonate with. Okay. So what is her self identity? How does she dress? How does she perceive? How do others perceive her? Um, what kind of food does she eat? How does she earn money? What are her skills and talents? How does she communicate? What does she like to learn? What country does she live in? Our state? What type of house does she live in? How does she decorate her house? What kind of car does she drive? How does she express herself? What are her passions? What are her habits? What are her acts of service? What type of partner does she have? Who is she compatible with? What does she love? How does she love? How does she handle her finances? How does she deal with transformation? What is her authentic code? What is her philosophy? What does she, where does she travel? What career does she have? What is her public image like? How does she socialize? What type of community does she belong to? What type of friendships does she have? What are her aspirations? How does she find fulfillment? What are her spiritual practices? What are her dreams? How does she intuitively guide herself? And then I asked, um, what would her character be in a starring role in her movie? Okay. So when you put that in, your GPT is going to build this avatar down to how you dress, what kind of car, what house you live in, who your partner is, all of it. Okay. So this is fun, and you'll be able to see if you resonate with it or you don't resonate with it. So be mindful that, again, this is not 100% accurate. It is just a project for fun to understand if you are on your soul's journey and if you resonate with everything according to your placements, because now you have your astrological profile. And so then once you have your avatar, now that Chat GPT has created your avatar, you're going to ask it to write the day in the life of that avatar. So you're going to write, now can you create a day in the life of my avatar? And then it will create a day, like when you wake up and what you do the first thing you wake up, and it's what you do for your career or whatever that comes in. It will give you a day in the life of you in your natal chart. So have fun discovering yourself. You can tweak the questions by including some things about yourself. So if you don't resonate, maybe you can tweak the question because you don't align with it and you know yourself better than Chat GPT does. Um, and then remember that it is not an exact reading, because an astrologer can give you more precision by asking you personal questions and intuitively reading your natal chart. And remember that this reading is for entertainment purposes only. So I hope this is going to get you excited to discover more about yourself your starring role, understand that you are more powerful than you believe you are. And when you get this information, it's going to give you a quantum leap, because if you feel like you don't know who you are, you don't have any sense of direction, you don't know what's next. It is about empowering yourself, because we have been so programmed to be disempowered. And so if you're wondering, like, this was the question that I had, how can I be so focused on my goals and my growth when everything is happening in the world? And that's exactly what they want you to do. Okay, they want you to give up on focusing on yourself and what you want to grow. Because in my last video, where I was talking about distractions, that's what the distractions are about. Because what you pay attention to grows, what you focus on turns into a mass that and behaves the way that you want it to behave, going back to the two slit experiment. So when you focus on what you desire, when you focus on your growth, when you focus on your soul's journey, your evolution, you know that you came here to be a part of the whole, right? Because we're all connected as one collective, one consciousness. But you also came here for an evolution so you can help humanity. And if you're so focused on what is not working and what is not happening, how can you change the trajectory of this reality? So the way that you do it is through the investment in yourself. And I'm going to leave you with that. That's all I have for you today. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe, leave me a comment, watch the other videos that I put in if you're feeling lost about what I'm talking about, because they're all in sequence leading up to this video. And that's all I have for you today.
With sun and enchantress, destiny's tree. Fear and doubt, she feels no shame.